Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to look at a winning Rillaboom deck. Yeah, that's right. I said a winning Rillaboom deck. That is to say, a Stage 2 deck that's gone and won. And it's not the only Stage 2 deck that's actually gone and started doing a win, ladies and gentlemen. And actually, a little bit of a spoiler alert here, I've actually got 2 winning deck lists to show you at the end of the video. As always, there will be a timestamp in the description, so if you want to flick straight to the list, I'd rather you didn't, but that's your decision for you lovely people to make. So, Rillaboom then. It's actually legit. Now, I am talking about largely the Rillaboom that comes out in the set proper. It is the one with the fairly redonkulous ability whereby you can, once during your turn, search your deck for 2 grass energy and attach them to one of your Pokemon. Yeah, that's pretty gosh darn good. It's very, very reminiscent of the old Vikavolt card. Now, Vikavolt searched your deck for a grass and a lightning, but come on, it's pretty gosh darn similar at this stage. So then the question, of course, becomes, alright, if we're using Rillaboom to search our deck for energy, what are we actually using to attack here? And the answer is, well, we've got a bunch of options. I mean, one of them is Rillaboom itself. 140 damage for 4 energy isn't great, but then again, you're accelerating energy. Now, a quick side note here, Japan is in the same format as we are. However, Rillaboom V is not actually in Sword and Shield. Rillaboom V has not been released in Japan yet, so it's not legal for their tournaments. So even though we've seen Rillaboom V, even though we know it's coming, even though we're fairly sure it makes a rather awesome partner, it's not a Pokemon we can talk about in this video because it's not legal at the moment. It ain't viable. So with that borne in mind, what are we actually playing? And we've got a few options. One of the options that we actually see in both the decks here is Venusaur and Snivy. Now, here's the thing about Venusaur and Snivy. It's not seen a huge amount of play since it came out in Cosmic Eclipse. Now, to be fair, it's got a rather phenomenal ability, whereby if it's in the active, you may attach a grass energy from your hand to it, and switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active. It only activates if you attach an energy from your hand, so if you use Rillaboom's ability to accelerate an energy, this will not activate your ability. But it's gusting. No discarding 2 cards from your hand with Great Catcher, and even then, only being allowed to gust up an EX or GX. No trying to get 2 Custom Catcher in your hand at the same time. No trying to flip aheads with Pokemon Catcher. None of that malarkey. Straight gusting. And okay, it's not an amazing attacker. 4 energy, 160 damage is very meh. It's not a particularly good attack, and it's far too expensive. But if you're accelerating 2 energy during your turn using Rillaboom, it turns from an unusable attack into a kind of viable attack. And then we got the GX attack, 3 colorless energy, 50 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. If you've got 2 more energy attached, you heal all damage from each of your Pokemon. Alright if your opponent's got a bunch of weak Pokemon. As a side note, Frostmoth is actually looking really good at the moment, and that evolves from Snom, who does have 50 HP. Now, in terms of other options we've got for Pokemon, we do have a bit of the old Rowlet and Alolan Executor. Now, Rowlet and Alolan Executor is actually a really nice one here, because for 0 energy, you just get to evolve one of your benched Pokemon into a Stage 1. And if you want, straight into a Stage 2. If it's a grass Pokemon, which it obviously will be, because it'll be Rillaboom. So if you've got a Grookey on the bench, you can grab Rowlet and Alolan Executor and immediately evolve up into Rillaboom, so you've got a Rillaboom going at the end of your first turn, going second. 3 energy, 150, heal 30 is fine. It's not great, although it's still better than Venusaur and Snivy's attack. And then the GX attack, 3 grass energy, 200. If you've got 6 energy on there, your opponent shuffles all energy from all of their Pokemon into their deck. So we love it for the first attack to get Rillaboom out, and we also kind of love it here to just wreck all of our opponent's energy in one go. That's kind of hilarious. Now we do also see a little bit of Buzzwole and Pheromosa here, and this is another kind of Pokemon whereby it should be too expensive and not particularly viable, but it gets totally saved by all the energy that you're accelerating. So 1 grass energy, 30 to the active, 30 to 1 on the bench. Alright as a turn 1 attack, but let's face it, you really want to be using Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor. 3 energy, 190 is actually better than any of the alternatives we've seen on the other Pokemon. And 1 grass energy, 50 damage if you take a KO, take an extra prize. 8 energy, 50 damage, and if you take a KO, take 3 extra prizes. Now, bearing in mind, if you can get 3 Rillaboom out, you can attach 7 energy in 1 turn. Ironically, still not actually enough. It's probably not irony. It's annoying, though. But it still means you've actually got an option for getting going with this that you honestly probably shouldn't have most of the time. This could be the Pokemon that breaks Pheromosa and Buzzwole wide open. And let's not forget we can always use Mewtwo and Mew here to copy their attacks while having a different weakness. Don't sleep on that one. Now we would like to have a non-GX attacker here, and we've got a great attacker in Shaman Prismstar. 2 energy minimum, and you do 30 damage for each basic energy attached to each of your Pokemon. Well, this is a deck which is going to be trying to get a whole bunch of basic energy on the field very, 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 very quickly, so yeah. Sounds good, right? And shockingly enough, one on the list plays Absol to increase the retreat cost of basic Pokemon like Pokemon V and Tag Team Pokemon. We've talked about Absol a lot recently. It's still Absol. Now, in terms of the energy, generally speaking, we only really want grass energy. Except we end up playing a bit of weakness guard energy because you've got a weakness to Fire Dex, and with Welder running around, that is a very, very bad weakness to have. And we also see a little bit of Aurora energy here, and this is a play you're going to see more and more often as time goes by, just so that you can search it out with Guzma and Hala. Play Guzma and Hala, it allows you to search out the Aurora energy, which you're playing in your deck rather nicely. Now, in terms of your draw cards, or your trainers in general, there really isn't a huge amount here that's all that special. Obviously, Netball becomes a great option, letting you search for basic grass Pokemon and basic grass energy. That's a nice little touch. And Life Forest Prismstar is really good healing for your grass Pokemon, so it's nice to be able to pop that into the deck. And while we're healing, you might as well play a bit of Mallow and Lana. And while we're playing tag team supporters, we might as well play Cynthia and Caitlyn. Recover supporters, draw cards. And if we're playing a bunch of tag team supporters, we might as well play Tag Call to grab them out. That shouldn't be terribly surprising here. We do see one of the lists playing Giant Charm here, just to give their Pokemon an extra 30 HP. And we see one of the lists playing Balloon to help you with retreating. And I've said before that those 2 cards, people are basically going to be choosing between those and Vitality Band to decide which tools they actually want to be playing at the moment. They're free. They are great. Outside of that, it's largely what you would expect. It's a rather straightforward deck. You get Rillaboom out, you smash with big Pokemon. But Stage 2 decks like Rillaboom haven't been viable since the rotation, so even seeing that Rillaboom is here with all the new Pokemon search we're getting really kind of fills my heart with joy. Although I suppose it is worth noting that we're not using that much of the new Pokemon search here, because we've got Cherish Ball to get the GXs, of which we're playing a bunch, we've got Netball, and then we're using Alolan Exeggutor to evolve into Rillaboom. But hey-ho. Here is list number 1, very straightforward list. You've got Venusaur and Celebi, you've got Rowlet and Alolan Exeggutor, and then you've got that single copy of Shaman Prismstar, and then just a bunch of consistency cards. The second list here is slightly more teched out. We've got Buzzwole and Pheromosa, and you've got the Absol, the Aurora Energy, etc. But it is still fairly straightforward and fairly similar. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Rillaboom is apparently legit. It's a good card and we should all be rather excited. But I'd like to know how excited you are, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then please do consider checking that like button, clicking that subscribe button, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and checking out twitch.tv/PTCGradio for some live action. Please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, etc. And might I humbly ask that you check out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where you can find out about a bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.